Teresa here from Teresa's Crafty Cabana. I'm working on some cards today. I actually just finished one for this video, but I'm going to make another one later on to match, so I thought I'd show you my process. I'm using the jelly prints that I created in a recent video, and I'll link that video if you want to see the process of how I made these. My card base is a gatefold card that folds down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I had die cut a circle out of it. And then I'm using that circle to line up on this jelly print because this jelly print is going to go on the outside of the card. I just wanted to make sure my circles lined up before I die cut them. And then I wanted to have a little bit of a frame so that I would still see some of the gray around the circle. So I cut the next size circle and just used the smaller circle to line it up. Then I just ran that through my die cutting machine. The gel print that I'm working with for this particular piece is actually a piece of Hammermill copy paper, 32 pound. So it's pretty lightweight. So now I have the part that's going to go on the cover of my card. All I have to do is cut down the center to open up the gatefold part. Moving on to the inside of the card, I have a different jelly print that I'm going to be using. This one has brighter colors. Then I'm going to use this Octagon in the center of this circle. And all I have to do is line it up and just make it look like it fits inside that circle nicely. And then I'll do the same thing and just run that through the die cutting machine. Now this paper is actually the 110 pound Nina White cardstock, so this one is a little bit thicker than the cover piece. And I had cut it down so that it has a little bit of a border and fits nicely inside the card. And now I have a nice area where I can put my sentiment. I'm going to be using my Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil, and this is a happy birthday sentiment that I have in my stash. I'm just using some washi tape to line it up here. Now it's been a while since I've used my Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil set, so I did forget exactly how I was supposed to layer everything. I did put the foil the right way though. If you've worked with this Glimmer Hot Foil, you might know what I mean. But what I forgot is that you can't put the cardstock directly on the base. You're supposed to put the dies facing the flat side onto the base and then layer your foil and then your cardstock and then your shims on top. So what happens if you do it the wrong way? I will show you because I happened to find out myself. It does foil just a little bit or a lot, and it definitely embosses a lot. It embossed all the way through to the other side. It's very 3D, but this was not the look I was going for, so I will be fixing this mistake. All I did was lined my die cut or my little glimmer foil piece back over some foil. This time I put the sentiment flat side on the hot plate. Then I did the foil. Then I did my cardstock, heated it until the timer turned green. And then I layered my shim and the other die cut piece and ran that through my die cutting machine. And drum roll, please. I was hoping I did it right this time. And that worked out exactly how I wanted it. And then I just used that same die cut to cut the octagon out of this, and I'm just going to cover that right over my mistake. And that fits perfectly with the sentiment there, and that will cover up that messy part. Nice. And then for the back piece, because it was sticking out so much, the embossing, that I just cut down a piece of gray cardstock that fit over the back side, and I'm just going to glue that on the top. I thought it was easier to open up my card like this in order to glue these two pieces down so it was flat. And I'm just lining it up so that I have a little bit of a border where the circle is, and then I have an even border around the edges. I'll do the same thing to the other side. I ended up kind of smearing my glue on this other one because on the first one, because it is copy paper, I could see a little bit of the glue lines, and I don't like the glue lines. So I would suggest, if you don't have the double-sided tape to work with, that you might smooth out your glue lines and it will make a little bit of a nicer look. But they lined up nicely. And then I glued the inside. Now I didn't have to worry about the glue lines on this piece because it is the cardstock. Cardstock doesn't show the glue through it as easily as the copy paper does. Because I had embossed this so much, this started warping on me, but the backside should help with the warping. I had another oopsie here. I smeared my hand right over my stamp, and now I have to fix another thing. This is how my crafting goes. I have to fix everything. You'd think I would learn, but yeah, I have a fix for everything because I've done it all before. I just take sticker paper, stamp onto that. The sticker paper actually dries really fast with my stamp. Then I use a circle that fits perfectly over my stamp, and then I can just adhere that right over the top of any of my mistakes. And there you go, like it never even happened. And then to fix this one, all I did was add some foam tape to the back. That way it pops up just a little bit. And I actually really like how this looks. I think it looks really nice popping up from the bottom piece. And then when I close the windows, it definitely pops out just a little bit as well. I wanted to add some kind of a design on my card. It would be fine just like this, and I don't want to add gems or anything like that because it's a guy card. So I went to my cutting machine and I cut out some gears just in different sizes. And then I pulled out my jelly plate. This is a 9x12 jelly plate. I started with some black, Mars black. I added a texture. This is just a mesh, like a metal mesh piece, and just pressed that in nicely. It wasn't revealing enough of the gel plate, so I took a squished up piece of tissue paper and just kind of made some marks around the gel plate because I wanted to be able to see the metallics that I was going to use. This is an iridescent gold, iridescent silver, and an iron oxide. I'm just using a 4-inch brayer just to kind of blend those metallics together a little bit and just cover the background because this is what I'm going to use to gel print right over my little gears. So while the paint is still nice and wet, I'm just going to quickly lay down all of my little gear pieces. I'm not worrying about pressing them in at this point. I just want to get them all on the plate. But I do have to act fast because this is a metallic. Metallics do tend to dry faster, and I really wanted to be able to capture all of that good black and gold and silvers on these little gears. I didn't leave it on the paper on the gel plate very long because I didn't want these little gear pieces to get messed up. So pretty much I just pressed the paper down, used my brayer over the top. Maybe after about a minute, then I pulled this print up, and then I was able to pull up all of my little gears that had a nice amount of jelly printing on them. And I like it because they look a little bit rustic, and that's what I was hoping for. The only two that didn't really work out were these first two that I put down. The paint, I guess, started drying before I got those pressed in, but I would say that was a pretty good turnout for all the other ones having gotten all the paint on them. I decided to just finish up this print and pull it off of the gel plate because it did look pretty neat. So I just used 3 different blues from my gold and fluid acrylics and another piece of copy paper. And since this is a 9 by 12, I'm able to pull up almost the entire page of the gel print unless the paint was dry. So I just didn't get a little corner and the little sides, but other than that, I got almost a full entire sheet here that I can use for a different project. Plus I have the other one that I had pulled earlier, so now I have 2 different gel prints to use for a different project. So I'll set those aside. Coming back to my card, now I have all these little gears that I can put on my card as a design. What I decided to do was find 2 of the same size gears, put them together back to back so that I can have them overlaying the circle design, but then they won't look like white on the back side. I didn't want to have, when you opened it, I didn't want to have to see white. To adhere it, I just used some wet glue, and I put glue all the way around it and then glue on the other side, and then just kind of matched them up. And they lined up pretty easily because they are symmetrical. I did the same thing for this gear on the top. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to go over my words, so that's the thing I was watching out for. And I thought it needed one more up on the top right corner. And then when I opened it up, it just had one area that was kind of open, and I realized later I probably should have left that open to write my sentiment. But I'll probably just have to write around the gears in order to put my sentiment inside my card, or write my message to who I'm giving this to. So at least there's still a little bit of the gray open spaces inside that I can write my little message to whoever I'm sending this to. And then the back side, I could add some more gears back here as well, but I really think I'll save those for, I'm going to be doing a second card. That way I have enough to use on 2 cards. And that completes out how this card turned out with all of my fumbles and mistakes. But in the end, that's usually how my crafting goes. And that's how I learn a lot too. And that's also how I don't get so frustrated when I craft, because I know how to fix things, and if I can't fix it, I'll just start over. So, and I do scan my jelly prints in, because I'm always afraid that as soon as I cut them, I'm going to cut it the wrong size or cut it wrong, or not like it and want to use it in a different way. So I do scan those in, and I put some of those in my Etsy shop. So be sure to check that out if you like any of these gel prints. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy crafting, y'all!